Hello, everyone. Welcome to Girls with Sabers. My name's Luthien, and along with Emrys, we are, well, I said it, Girls with Sabers. And we have a very special guest on this recording, Jarod of the Nerd Academy podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm so excited to be here. I had this conversation with Emrys whenever the news broke. And
that news.
We all pretty much did the same thing where it was like, we need to put something on wax pronto. And
yes.
We did not have a chance to be like, hey, can you be free? I can be free.
Yeah.
None of us, we didn't have time to do that. So we all just jumped in and did it. And then went, okay, so how are you feeling about this? This is buck wild.
Yeah. Yep.
This truly is it almost exactly, back in the day, back when do-back discussion was a thing, when this wonderful working relationship first grew legs. I jokingly refer to our little cloister as the Reylo Avengers.
Yes.
And since then, some people have turned out to have some interesting beliefs. Not gonna name names. I had to stop myself from being cheeky there for a second. The Blue Bantha Mill guys are doing their own thing. The Reylo Avengers kind of broke up a little bit, but this feels like Endgame, where that 5 years later title card hits.
Yeah, we're still here after the blip. We came back.
Yes.
We came back from the blip, and where did that lead you? Back to me. I
just love you were with us for our last podcast, our last live stream, and now you're with us for second, but still,
yeah. Like I said, that time was so crazy. Like I said, it was asses and seats. It was we need to just rally our core stable, and then we can circle back. Yeah. And what I'm happy to be on here for, quite frankly, is now that we've had time to process this, think about this, let our takes develop. I'm happy to be here to unpack the fandom element of that, because a lot of the work I've done on Nerd Academy, a lot of it has, aside from doing the news and the reviews and stuff, a lot of it has kind of been a amateur fandom anthropology, and the nature of fandom culture, I think, is, in a word, so cooked that this story is nearly incapable of being talked about in a productive way. And that frustrates me a lot. I know a lot of people are doing their best to talk about this in a way that makes sense. There's also a lot of stuff that the tone of which really frustrates me, but we'll get into all of that. Yeah. Either way, I'm honored to be back on this channel.
Yay!
I've been thinking about it all day at work. I was back at it, one of my favorite team ups to do, so.
For those who are just joining, and for those who have, been with us since the beginning and want a refresher, Jarod used to do back discussion, and then a little bit after that has now done Nerd Academy podcast. But since both those channels, he has been pretty much a constant guest for many a video and live stream, and we just love his insights and are just so glad you're here with us right now.
Yes, yes, we are so glad that you remained with us.
Did some of our voice acting ventures too, and
I've done that. I forgot about that for a moment until right now.
We hoped you would forget. I wrote that in 3 hours at the last minute.
And we made it work, damn it. We made it work.
God. Those were the days.
So I wish that script was better, and I apologize that it was not at the point that we wanted it, but it was here, have a cheesy Ben Solo Day Christmas.
Oh, it was full of cheese, but that's what made it great. And now, like,
I've read so much worse, man.
It was like 3 hours, Lou. This was written in 3 hours.
All right. Ben Solo.
Heard of him.
Yep. That's who we're talking about today.
Yep.
And the hunt for him, or what would have been the hunt for him. Yeah. Oh, just reading new stuff that has come out, talking about it. More people are lending their interviews to the pot, and it's just we could have had it all.
Yes,
we could have had it all.
I looked away and came back to crying Jerry. I looked away. I was like, "Is my fan about to fall off the table?" I have, and then I looked like, "Oh, hello." No. I mean, it's frustrating, and I mean, like, not to drag this conversation kicking and screaming into like really frustrating real world stuff, but like the Walt Disney Corporation has so much egg on its face in the year of 2025 already, right? And it's so much that like it like to talk about it even a little bit in depth, we would get incredibly bogged down and not be on target. But like, I think a lot of people on the whole are already so frustrated with this company for things that have nothing to do with its media output. That like Disney as a company was already in a precarious situation with people being agitated. Then factor in, the kind of game-breaking decision with the Ben Solo stuff that is not necessarily hot on the heels of, but I know for me, like I'm still frustrated about the Acolyte. I've spoken on it publicly. The Acolyte cancellation, I almost quit Nerd Academy. Like and it was because the fandom conversation around Acolyte was so just awful, and again, you will never, ever, 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 ever hear me say that annoying fans with bad takes are even remotely as bad and caustic for the culture of fandom as like the right-wing griftosphere. Right? These are two completely different camps. One person is somebody I roll my eyes at and go, I don't think you're engaging with the text, honestly. The other one speaks exclusively in dog whistle and micro verging on macro aggression. Like two completely different worlds. That said, in the immediate aftermath of the Acolyte, again, this is one of those things. I say cancellation. Acolyte Season 2 technically wasn't canceled. It just wasn't greenlit. But when Deadline broke that exclusive, they used the verbiage of it being canceled. So now we talk about Acolyte Season 2 as though it got canceled and didn't just get greenlit for a second season. Nobody has ever said that Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 2 got canceled, or Book of Boba Fett Season 2 got canceled, or Skeleton Crew, etc., etc. We just go, oh, they didn't want to do a Season 2. They were happy with what Season 1 was. It was meant to be a mini-series, whatever. We know that wasn't the case with Acolyte, but like, even that like industry lingo getting kind of just beaten into the ground into meaning nothing is a thing. But when Acolyte, wasn't renewed, I was incredibly frustrated because all of the griftosphere made bank off of lying about that show, lying about the text, lying about the contents of it, lying about the greater lore and how it was affected. And then we had a lot of people on the side of the fandom that aren't horrible human beings, might be a little annoying sometimes, but, also just kind of half remembering the conversation in a weird way and talking about it in kind of a dishonest way where a lot of it was, there's, we can't do Acolyte Season 2, but we're getting a Baby Yoda movie, and it's like incredibly disingenuous. I find it incredibly disingenuous. And if that's your opinion, you're allowed to have that opinion. I don't see it as productive. But I had a lot of those feelings with the Ben Solo situation, not to the point where I just wanted to throw my hands up in a like fandom culture is cooked, what are we doing at this point kind of way, but in a, there's not going to be a single, I joked on Blue Sky, there's not a single person's going to have a good take about this because we've all had our brains melted so much. But no, I think it's shocking that Bob Iger looked at the only character who could possibly rival Grogu as a moneymaker, and for the first time looked Kathleen Kennedy in her eyes and said no. No, period. That astounds me. And I, to this day, don't quite get it. I think some of the reporting has said that it is something to do with like him knowing that this would basically be a project his successor would have to manage, and he didn't want to leave something behind for the next guy at bat. Emphasis on guy at bat.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
But yeah, it's a messy situation, and and pardon me that I'm kind of rambling here, but like my immediate gut reaction was, you got to be effing kidding me. How did this not happen? And then I look at social media, and the first thing I read is, oh, but Palpatine somehow returned, but we don't understand how Ben is alive. And immediately it was like, and again, like on some level, it's funny. On some level, it's funny. On some level, it is funny for Bob Iger to not be able to piece together, we did a resurrection in this movie. But the amount of people who want to be like, the only explanation is somehow Palpatine returned. That's not true. They explain it in the movie.
Exactly.
You cannot like it. You're allowed to say, I don't like the Palpatine came back.
Yeah.
You can't lie about what the movie says about Palpatine coming
Correct.
back.
The point is, he came back.
Yes. Like what Lou says, we want to see your English papers. If you cannot tell us the concrete facts of the story, then you cannot interpret what they mean. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. And it's the English papers of it all. That's what kind of has my head spinning. Is that element. Now, on the business side of things, on the creative side of things, what I said this on the episode we did of Knights of the Nerd Republic over on my channel. I stand by this. I am very much of the opinion that we're going to see him again.
Yep. Agreed.
I think between, the Rey movie is still on track. Simon Kinberg is allegedly working on episode 10. I want to make one thing abundantly clear. I don't want to lose the Rey movie. I think that the Rey movie being centered on what are the Jedi 15 years after the First Order conflict is really fascinating, and it kind of clears a path to do another trilogy, because we can get all of the minutia of what are the Jedi up to, what is this, before we get into now what the hell is happening with the galaxy. I want both. I would not be surprised if the Rey movie evolves into being Star Wars Episode 10.
I agree.
And again, is it my choice? Would I want that? No, I would like for it to be both. But I also understand not wanting to bloat the output. And that it feels like there are stories that they very desperately want to tell. And that there also might need to be an instance where you need to kind of fold things into each other. I think a lot of ideas from the Rey movie would probably end up in episode 10. And I think because of the reaction, A, because of the reaction to this, and B, because, as I said on KNR, the person I think would have been the hardest to get back came to you with the script.
Yep.
Like, if you put a gun to my head and told me who is, like, like predict the least likely person to come back to Star Wars, not named Harrison Ford, I would have, with all of the confidence in my body, said Adam Driver. And I would have been shot in the head because he came with a script and a pitch with Soderbergh. And, so Driver wants to come back. There's been all of the brouhaha about wanting him back. People wanted this idea of a returning Ben Solo. I would be stunned if the next trilogy he does not appear at all. Because I think it's coming. I think it's a foregone conclusion. There will be an episode 10. There will probably be a Rey movie, the new Jedi Order stuff. I think all of that is coming, and I think he was going to be a part of it.
Just think about that for a second, though. They had The Hunt for Ben Solo, a finished script. Okay, they paid money for it. I think they paid $300 million or $3 million. It was one of the 3 millions.
Yeah, there was a 3 and there was a million.
There was a 3 and then there was a million.
$3 million on a spec script.
Yes,
and
sorry.
Stuff.
But it was paid for. That's the main point. The script was written. It was greenlit, but not announced. And then you had Rey's movie, which does not have a completed script, which keeps on changing writers, and it feels like it's barely swimming there. It just makes me puzzled of why are you running your studio like this? Why are
I think these are toe dips. Not to interrupt you. I think you're seeing the Rey movie changing scripts, blah blah blah, whatever have you, and this whole Ben Solo thing, especially Adam Driver being the one to announce, it's not happening in an interview. Oh, we all know what they're doing.
This is surreal.
This is
surreal.
A primer.
Absolutely surreal for the record.
Yeah. This is a toe dip going, hey, is it even possible to do a Rey movie without him?
No.
And then this drops, and it's clear that yes, you have the factions that don't care about Ben Solo, or they don't care about Kylo Ren, or blah 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 blah. But for the most part, the fandom, and especially general audience, can wrap their minds around Ben Solo after Kylo Ren.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that transformation. We saw that happen. So even a general audience can get behind that. And
we got more of a post Kylo Ren Ben Solo than we got of a post Darth Vader Anakin Skywalker.
Correct.
True.
We got infinitesimally more. Granted, all we got was Owl, but he did stuff.
But he's also the young man. He's also the representative of the adolescent, where, Vader was passing on from father to son. So that's the main difference.
I can see Bob Iger going, sure, I'm going to say nay, but go tell the masses. Let's see how popular you really are. And then here we go.
Something that I do think is worth kind of honing in on there for a second is that not to this is not an actually correction, but just in the name of this is what so much of my problem is with the landscape right now, is that the reporting is all over the place. To our knowledge, the Rey movie has not changed writers. It is still set to be written and directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. That is still a fact.
Oh yeah, but it's
going through so many processes, and there's other people coming in to help with it. But it's the nature of the conversation that has made the public understanding of this so difficult to manage. And I think a lot of Lucasfilm's woes as of late are from Disney. I think a lot of that, that investors call where they announced 18 things that never got made, You know, like the inside baseball has always been that, like Bob Chapek, during his brief tenure as CEO, was like announce. Because at the time it's we're still early pandemic. Streaming is the way. Streaming will save us. You know, so announce a show that would star an actor we know we're not going to rehire. We know that we're not going to re-up Gina Carano's contract. Announce the Cara Dune show anyway. You know, announce Rogue Squadron even though all we have is like a video of Patty Jenkins sitting in an X-Wing. You know, announce Lando even though Donald Glover is one of the busiest men in all of Hollywood. You know, announce Droids, whatever that was going to be. You know,
and that's what I was going to say. There's more to the story of Rey's script, and it'd be interesting to see if those two scripts were commingling with each other.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Sorry, you go. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Like, and the reason I said is, why is one finished, complete? Like, here's the script. You know, it's all ready to go. It's like giving Iger a gift box of a movie, like here. And to me, it just sounds like they were hinging that there is, if you look at her filmography, she does a lot of movies about women who are supported and encouraged by their husband, and she has said that in an article. Like she says, I love the hero's journey, and I love having a woman be supported and encouraged by her husband in the running of what she wants to do in the future. And that just made my brain and Lou's brain and everyone else's brains go on fire of like, that's the dyad. I mean, there is canon after canon material. And you know, and I know, and everyone knows, Disney writes a lot of canon and they hardly ever use it. So canon can just be tossed aside.
I don't necessarily know if I agree with. I know what you mean. Like, that's the part of my brain that, again, like I said, even I won't have a good opinion about The Hunt for Ben Solo because part of my brain is just so like, my brain's broken from arguing on the internet for the last like 10 years over the sequel trilogy.
Don't put that in extreme. I'm not saying that
I know.
They have no respect for canon, and of course, I think there's a little wiggle room and interpretive fun in the canon. I'm just saying there are a lot of little clues and things that they put in canon that they never intend to use, or never fully build on.
Right.
But if you look at the dyad and what is written on the dyad, it talks about how their power is unlimited, that the dyad is to usher in a new era. And you have all of this and you're never going to use it. So what would Rey's school be without Ben? If there's that dyad prophecy, why not use that and show what it is like for a husband and wife to build up a new order for the Jedi and treat it like a family, treat it in the way that Anakin would want it to be led. I think that would have been really awesome if they were making that those two scripts match well, where Ben's was the masculine journey and Rey's was the feminine journey, and then they came together in the New Jedi Order movie.
No, I do agree with a lot of that. You know, like I think that, I'm trying to find the right way to say this. I think that a lot of the Ben stuff, like it's an opportunity to get weird. It's an opportunity to get heady. Like I also like there is a part of me that like would have loved to have gotten what like not one without the other, but like have them be kind of separate journeys that kind of like coalesce in an episode 10. Because like because quite frankly I would like to see what the Jedi Order looks like without Ben, because I think that his sacrifice, again, I'm a comics guy, I've seen more people lay down their life in an act of heroic sacrifice and come
yes,
and and again, but it's like, to me that doesn't diminish what they did. They didn't do what they did thinking they'd be back next Tuesday. I don't think that should diminish it. What like the choices they made are the choices they made, and it affects you. It should affect you regardless. But like, I would like to see a little time where Rey is able to kind of like outside of the fog of war. That is this very complicated and mired relationship with Legacy that both of them had. Pardon my hiccups. To look back on it and be able to build moving forward, and for her to be on this journey of like, I am making my own legacy in remembrance of a legacy that I have inherited, a legacy that I was, welcomed into, not one that I was welcomed into, not inherited, I should say. And where Ben gets to do like the weird, heady world between worlds, Mortis, blah, 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 stuff. And I think that is the opportunity where you really get to play with the Anakin stuff. Like Shadow Warrior is one of my favorite episodes of Star Wars television ever, because it is because it is so, it's heady, it's weird. There's like, it's such a out there concept for Star Wars, like if we start with sometimes a Force ghost will say hello, and we've gotten to the point where it's like you are having a near death experience and part of your psyche is inside of the Force right now, and like there's a lesson you need to learn because you came here for a reason. And giving, I've always said that like the scene where the Force gives Ben the opportunity to make amends with Han Solo is such a beautiful scene. And I said for years, there is a part of me that wants to know what that scene would have been like with Anakin. The more and more I thought about it, the more I was like, no, Han was the right choice. Because that was his atonement for this specific act.
Yes.
Like we don't have time to talk about the lies of the dark side. We need you to get your head on straight and lock in. Like we need you to get the big one out of the way. We need you to be able to hear from your father speaking from the netherworld of the Force say, I get it. I knew what was going to happen when I stepped on that bridge. Because I knew where you were. And on some level, I do believe that despite Han being kind of a dum-dum, he knew, like, he's seen this cosmic woo-woo Force nonsense enough times to know when he stepped on that catwalk, he was sacrificing his life, but he was starting a chain reaction.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think Han knew that.
He definitely did.
And I think Ben knew that Han thought that.
Of course, yes.
And that is why it's so much of an act of defiance for him.
Well,
you don't get to save my soul, Dad. You don't get to redeem me, Luke. And that he needs to see Han. It needs to be that recreation where for him to finally internalize that idea that, like, we weren't trying to tell you to come home because we were afraid of Kylo Ren. We were telling you we want you to come home because we miss Ben, dipshit. Yeah. And, and it works. With Anakin, it is a completely different conversation that has so much more to do with the nature of the Force, the nature of legacy, the power of the light, the power of the dark side. And while Ben is in some type of forced purgatory, now is the time we have this conversation. Now is the time we do that.
I feel that's going to be the hunt of Ben Solo. I think that's going to be the purgatory moment right there, where it's going to be his atonement, and then the New Republic, or not the New Republic. I'm sorry, the New Order.
The new Federation of the Republic.
The New Order is going to be Paradiso,
Paradise. New Order, Electric Boogaloo.
And that's when Beatrice and Dante see each other, reunite, and learn how to make paradise and build paradise together. Because we've already had Rey's story. Now we need to see Ben's, and then we will have the dyad cornering it. I really feel like, I'm just going to speak personally.
Please.
Rey's story has been about isolation and solitude her entire life. Like, she ended her journey, like it or not, on the desert alone. Now, I know she was not alone. I know the Millennium Falcon is just right around the corner. I'm just saying that was her fear. That was something that she repeatedly said, is, I want someone. Women, heroines' journeys are about intimacy and unity and finding connection with people. And I feel like she has spent so much time on her own, doing things, surviving. It is time now for her to have that partner that's been through it, has atoned, is now ready to build with her, and brings all this knowledge, all this understanding of the light and the dark. And what finding Anakin is essential, because Anakin could tell him what he felt like the Jedi was missing. I know you know, Anakin was very much a judgment on the Jedi.
Yeah.
And his grandson can be the person who atones for the sins of the Jedi. As the person who brings it again. Sorry, Luke, you go. I've said enough.
Yeah, you both go, because I have so many reactions to that, and I find it compelling.
Yeah, I agree with everyone. I believe, and that's it. The end. I definitely feel like, I like what you said, Jarod, about how, like, Rey is going to have this one side and perspective, and she's going to do, like, you hope that the Rey film doesn't go away, and it happens. And I feel that it is going to happen, and she's going to have this arc. I feel like Ben is going to come in, and he's going to have this arc. But I agree with you. I think they're going to be separated.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be separate, and then it's going to be the Force needing to bring them together again to be this type of balance, and to bring forth episode 10 or whatever it happens to be. But there's no denying, from just a general sense, the popularity of the two of them together, the general audience love for the two of them together.
Right.
And just look at what the weeks ago it flipping broke the internet. I mean,
yeah.
But it brought a lot of people back together. It brought us out of hibernation, that's for damn sure.
And I don't mean to, forgive me, Jarod,
I got my, like, Captain Marvel pager moment, you know.
I don't mean to say that, they need to. I meant it like Ben needs to be by himself for the hunt of Ben Solo. He is searching for himself.
Agreed.
But I'm saying at the end of that journey, for Rey's New Order, now she can have some time by herself during that movie, but people are going to want to see them working together as the dyad and fully explore what that means.
That's what helps create a new order. It's like the Jedi could never be balanced. And, you know, now this is the Force creating this dyad that hasn't been seen in 1,000 years. Like, it's it's trying to.
I wasn't expecting a big pop on the Palpatine one. I was validated by that. Thank you.
I just, yeah. I
hope I wasn't too strong, Jarod.
Not at all.
See your point. To me, what I key in with Rey is the need for belonging, the need for people around her.
It's community.
And
I agree with you on that. I think one of the small things we differ on with Rey and Rise of Skywalker. And back in 2019, you and I were on like a Discord call for like damn near 3 hours. Just going back and forth on Rey. Not in an argumentative way, but in a way, like, I really like it. And you going like, what the hell was that? And, kind of way. And I find it compelling,
Yes.
Like, for me, like, I understand that, like, on some level, the imagery of Rey staring off into the binary sunset on Tatooine, a planet, a location that is greatly associated with, like, with a sense of isolation and the beginning of the journey, and like the place that you start on before you have something going on. And I don't disagree with that interpretation of the symbolism. I think that is in the text, I think you can divine that from the text. I think the intention is, I think it is so, and again, like, it works or it doesn't work for different people.
Right.
This isn't me saying your interpretation is wrong, your feelings on it are wrong. The place I come at it from, and how it informs my like take on like the Ben stuff, is that we find Rey at what is not literally the birthplace, because then she would have to go to Paulus Massa, but like what is in a kind of metatextual way. Yeah. Put on a spacesuit and stare at an asteroid. That's a less pretty tableau than all the pinks and oranges. But to take her to like the spiritual, almost metatextual birthplace of the Skywalker saga.
Mm-hmm.
This is where Anakin came from. This is where Luke came from. And now this is where as of now, last Skywalker is laying the legacy to rest. Mm-hmm. And she is staring off into the same sunset that Luke once stared at, with a deeply unique ability to look back on it and process it differently. Mm-hmm. And she is now on this desert planet that was associated with this great hero. And she's standing where he stood.
Yeah.
And it's them going, again, in a very like Rey Skywalker, she has been I hate saying gifted. Finding the right word that doesn't feel loaded, because
she was basically Christianized. Like, she was given a new birth. You are now christened, like, Rey Skywalker. Yeah.
And it is this, like, it is this legacy that is now hers. That was given to her, because so much of her journey is about legacy. Right. Because that is, in my opinion, the central theme of the sequel trilogy is legacy. And it is the fact that Rey goes from, gee, I really wish I was a part of something, and maybe I might be, to, gee, I really wish I was a part of something, and I hope I might be, to, oh, drunks in the desert, to, gee, I really wish I was a part of something. Am I allowed to curse?
Sure.
Go for it.
Gee, I really wish I was a part of something. Oh, fuck, it's Palpatine. And for all of that, and for that to all kind of reverberate back into, it doesn't matter that through some Byzantine complicated plotting. You're Palpatine's grandbaby. That doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Luke loved you. Leia loved you. Han loved you. Poe, Finn, all of these people, Chewbacca, care deeply about you. You are a part of this family. I don't care if your last name was Palpatine. I don't care what it would have been. You're a Skywalker because you're from here. And obviously that is the inverse with Ben. That is what makes it so compelling, is that he's cursed by legacy. Mm-hmm. And in The Rise of Skywalker, she gets a taste of that curse. And that is why I love her arc so much. And when it comes to the Ben side of things, what I really love about that is that I do think when Rey looks into that sunset, standing on Tatooine, she is a completely different woman than she was a year ago on Jakku. Because what she has now is, when she is done reflecting on it, she's going to get back on the Falcon, she's going to go back to Agent Kloss, and she's going to chum it up with Finn and Poe and Zori and Chewbacca and Maz Kanata, etc., 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 etc. She didn't have that before, and I think that's really beautiful. And the crucial thing with Ben is that he is the missing piece. Yeah. She gets to build her own community, and in the Jedi, and again, the Galactic Federation of Independent Star Systems and Municipalities and whatever the new government's going to be. She gets to build up her Jedi Order with the friends she made before that, and then that last missing piece
mm-hmm.
come back after he sorts his stuff out.
I agree with what you said. I see your interpretation. In fact, Lou and I did write an essay about seeing it as a pilgrimage, seeing it as such. Like, we see, and Lou, I'm sorry if I'm speaking for you and you disagree with it, but we see your interpretation as valid and effective. Like, it's just, it didn't do anything for us.
And that's fair. That is so again,
so that's partly true.
I'm talking to you guys.
It did, especially when we made that video.
Yeah.
About Rey Skywalker and how that ended. I really liked making that video because it put me, and even though I've still only seen Tross once, it put me
revisit. It's worth the revisit. I promise it's worth the revisit. I promise it's worth it, guys.
No.
So I feel that was such an important video to make, because it allowed me to see that journey through so many other fans' eyes. And it really was. Now, there are people who will die on the hill of, it was not beautiful to me, and I respect that. Sure. But making that video about Rey Skywalker and remove Ben from that equation for a moment, it was very full circle beautiful, because you began with her on a desert planet with no means to get off it, and now she's ending on a desert planet with this full-on knowledge of the hero that she idolized, and now she's Skywalker name aside, she's a part of it. It's a part of her. She's a part of it, and now she has the means to leave. She has the means for a future. Yeah. So now that is gorgeous. And if I didn't appreciate it more, I just appreciated it more in this moment talking about it. Now bring in
the rewind.
We'll see. We will see. I am still kind of proud of myself that I've only seen it once. And I totally forgot she was a Palpatine. So when you talked about her being Rey Palpatine, I was like, what? Oh yeah.
Can I interject for one moment? Moment? Listen, when I was a youth, I had a little bit of a hair trigger temper,
Okay.
A lot of that has manifested into I just like to have verbal sparring matches on the internet.
Oh yeah,
because I a good dunk is good for the soul.
Yeah.
It probably isn't. It probably isn't. I know.
Yeah, but we're gonna go with it is. We're gonna go with it is.
Yeah. Go. Yes.
Considering the franchise I treat like a religious text, I am getting into the dark side. Full knowing.
Full send. You know.
Full send. Just dropping elbows.
Yeah.
When I see a white man in my general age demographic call this woman Rey Palpatine as a pejorative, the blood-curdling rage I fly into every time, because it is so rooted in this bizarre misogyny of deserving the name. I'll never not get like virulently angry, and it's and the conversation we're having right now, and there are even people who are like on our side of the internet who dealt with the constant fake fan for The Last Jedi. What I love so much about this conversation, unpacking what does this like in 2025, is that we do inherently have like radically like different reactions to the end of that movie. It is a movie I have softened on so much over time. It is still in the lower third of my rankings, but my God, if thematically, The Rise of Skywalker is not a perfect Star Wars movie, and I'm going to say again, thematically, it is this perfect Star Wars movie. It gets it. Thematically. The plotting is messy as hell. Thematically, it's so cogent. And I just so appreciate that, like, you know, the ability to look at this and go, there are many interpretations, some of which can be kind of like frustrating if you think about it in a certain way for too long. And I just unpacking all of that. This is good.
Totally appreciate Rey Skywalker. You know, like I said, remove Ben, even remove the last name of Skywalker. I completely appreciate the full circle edit it got in the end. Thematically, I absolutely appreciate that. And bringing Ben back into it, like you said, he's the missing piece.
Yeah.
And so many other articles and comics coming out. I mean, they're all primers. We are getting primers to his return, because why else would they be doing this? You know, it's
And when we said the same thing for a happy ending with Reylo and Ben Solo living and everything, there was that answer too. So I have learned a sad story of to temper my expectations, because they plan these things, but then other things dominate it. And I'm not saying they're malicious. I'm just saying other things get in their way, or
right.
It's just like the cards fall sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, look at the media landscape here as well. Like, I know a lot of the conversation about The Hunt for Ben Solo not getting like the full like Disney go for it, guys, was the whole we don't understand how Ben Solo's alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what gets talked about. And again, it's the hilarity of like, what do you mean he died in the movie where the Emperor was resurrected? The man says I died before. What are you talking about? But like there's also I think the media landscape is like one of the factors that isn't getting talked about. You know, like the global box office in a general sense is not in a good place.
No.
And like there's a lot of industry like shrinking happening. And I guess like my hot take on all of this, and again, for those of you who either don't remember me very well or are new here, I would just like to give my cred real quick of the Kylo Ren.
Yes.
Real quick.
The whole ensemble is cred.
Before I say what I'm about to say, I think he's nifty.
You kind of like You kind of like him.
I kind of like him. I kind of spent $300 on the Last Jedi Kylo Ren cosplay when I was still cosplaying and stuff. Like, I ride for this trilogy. I ride for this character.
Yes.
My unpopular opinion that might get me kicked out of the Reylo Avengers is I don't know if there's a whole movie here. And I think that might be part of it. I don't know if there is a whole movie about forced purgatory in the World Between Worlds. I don't. Now,
and
granted,
they need to hire us.
I haven't read the script, so I don't know how much of it is in the real world, if there's like a Rey searching or sensing tremors or like I don't know what the script is. You know, like again, the whole idea of this was how we were going to bring Ben back.
From a media landscape standpoint, I agree with you.
Yeah, like that description is so like it's so thin. It's an idea. It's it's like when a movie does like when a movie gets announced and it's like we're going to do this. What does that mean? Don't know. Watch the movie. Like I don't know. I don't know how much of a movie was here, and that is why I think. And this is me being very pie in the sky. Me being incredibly speculative. That is why, low key, depending on how things shake out with a Rey movie, with episode 10, whatever happens, this might be a blessing in disguise. Because this might be a situation where you have a great idea, it's too big, it's too weird, it might meander. Having to condense this to fit in another movie might end up being a blessing in disguise.
Yep. I can see them taking treatments. I can see them paying more money for treatments to move this, to shift some of this into the core of a different film. Yeah. But no, I absolutely agree with you because of the landscape of everything. I mean, it's so hard because this isn't like a Tolkien and, Rings of Power aside, let's just that's a whole nother deep dark dive a rabbit down the hatch. It's not like they have a Tolkien landscape, just for lack of a better term. They do not have this vast, locked or unlocked realm to dive into and to pull from. They are every director and every writer and the group of writers that come in and help them have their version of Star Wars. So this is the name of the game, and this is why it's so frustrating.
And that's also the thing that fans are always begging for. Fandom.
Right.
Is that it's always let it be here, let it be different. That is how we end up with the smorgasbord. That's how we end up with everything from the whimsy of Rebels happening in the same day as some wild shit at Andor.
Right. Yeah.
That's the secret sauce, is that it is so tonally different in a beautiful way. And you just brain blasted me there for a second. With all of that in there and that media landscape element, I lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me.
It's a blessing and a curse. It's a double-edged sword. It's the double-edged sword of the fandom. It's okay. It's a double-edged sword of the fandom where you have this smorgasbord and everyone's feasting and you either love it or you hate it, but you have there's something for everyone, but you still need cohesive films, and it's almost like they don't know how to get back to that.
Yeah, I think part of it is again, the obvious element is the obvious element. The pandemic threw off production for so many things. Yeah. I would be absolutely astounded in the alternate timeline where COVID-19 does not happen, that we would not be getting another Star Wars movie in 2026 at the earliest. I don't think that's the case. And what I was getting ready to say and then completely forgot for a moment because I got so excited by what you were saying, is that there's another thing to keep in mind with what you were saying with the Tolkien elements and there are hard rules for Star Wars in terms of mechanics and the magic of it all.
Yep.
There are not hard rules for tone. And when it comes to the mechanical element, what we need to understand and remember is that as much as we like to talk about nobody ever really dies in Star Wars, we've only actually brought one guy back from the dead.
Right. Yes.
And not to be sour grapes about it, people, especially people who we shared a lot of corners of the internet with, I'm going to keep it PG-13. This will be my last F-bomb. Lost their motherfucking minds over it.
Yeah.
On all sides of the fandom. One guy has been brought back from the dead. One guy died, left the world of the living, and then was brought back from that. All of the other people, you know what? That's not true. There's two. There's two now. Because we do have Darth Sidious and we have Asajj Ventress.
Do you want us to edit this in post?
We can do that.
I'll own that. But even then, with like Ventress, it's like weird Night Sister magic. Zombies and shit.
Yeah.
Like, fine, she's back. Whatever. Less of an explanation than Palpatine, but we're all cool with it. Sure.
Yeah.
But like outside of that, like if you look at all of the other like people that got brought back from the dead, Darth Maul, they said no, he didn't die. He survived that thing. Boba Fett didn't die. Like with Ben, there is a really interesting conundrum of, did he die on Exegol, or is he just in a weird extraplanar part of the Force?
Yep.
That distinction in and of itself, I can also understand scaring somebody like Bob Iger. Because that's weird. Like, that is what the Disney Plus shows are for. If you're invested enough to know what the world between worlds is and just go along with this like weird in like pocket dimension where like you can't actually time travel, but there's some weird temporal stuff happening, then you can get with it. The general audience who are going to go to see this opening weekend, doing a whole like having to explain, no, he didn't actually die. He's in a pocket dimension. Like lest we forget in 2016. Lest we forget in 2016 when the first trailer for Rogue One came out, everybody's like second cousin who doesn't really know what Star Wars is thought Jyn Erso was Rey and that the Death Trooper was Darth Vader. Like, that group of people is going to be really hard to get on board with this weird stuff if it's a whole movie.
That's the kicker, though. This is all the kicker is where you, like, fandom aside, how is the general audience going to get on board with how can we explain this so the general audience will understand and still feel it's Star Wars? And I can see the hunt for Ben Solo, and we got a few articles to touch on before we end. But I can see.
I'm sorry.
58 minutes later.
No, I did it.
No, I'll hold that.
How can we explain this?
I got us on Rey.
How can we explain the world between worlds? How can we explain any of this weird shit? And the hunt for Ben Solo, like you said, was probably extremely heady knowing Soderbergh, extremely heady knowing Adam, and very cerebral, very like indie almost. And how, like, of course Lucasfilm loved it because they've been doing that in their other, Disney Plus, animated shows for decades. But how do you wrap that into a film and pitch it to Disney and they say yes? Like, it has to be treatments now. It has to be treatments being taken, being paid for, and then pushing it on into and integrating it into a different film.
I think with the Skywalker saga, and that's one of the reasons I'm not going to get into it, and I don't know if you agree, Jarod, and that's okay if you don't, but I feel the Skywalkers are the gate to the general audience for Star Wars. And yes, they can go another way, but there needs to be some sort of resolution. Because my dad is a is a general Star Wars fan. He'll watch the movies. He watches the TV series with me when he can. But he's still asking me when is the next Skywalker movie. And I'm like, Rey. I'm like, Rey's the Skywalker, Dad. And she's like, no, she's not. He's like, how about that other guy? I was like, well, he's dead, Dad. And he's like, Dad, please don't make me live my trauma all over again.
I'm like, thanks, Dad, for dredging up the past. It's really.
And then I said, but Dad,
he's dead, Dad.
I'd like to introduce you to a project I've been working on since 2018 called Girls with Sabers. Here's my channel. You can watch it. But
dog, it's rough out here. Like,
it's rough.
That's why I'm saying there I know it. I see it as a Star Wars fan. The audience needs more than the Skywalkers. I don't want. But
they're the bridge. They are the stepping stone that everything shoots off of. Like,
right.
As a general audience.
Is, yeah.
You know?
They are literally the children of the Force, the bloodline of the Force.
And I do agree with you that like the familiar is the stepping stone.
Yeah.
The thing that I think that we are very fascinatingly on the precipice of, as we near the 10th anniversary of The Force Awakens, side note, my God. But as we near it, we are approaching the time of like, oh, you were 10 when that came out. You're 15 now. I'm sorry, you were 5 when that came out. You're 15 now. Yep. You know, like we're getting to that point where it's like the people growing up, the characters people want to see revisited are coming of age in a really interesting way. In the same way, the prequel kids have been very well fed via Disney Plus with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka, etc., etc. So we're on the verge of that happening. And what I do think is interesting, while I do not think you're wrong, that the classic Star Wars iconography is so important to getting butts in seats. What Disney and Lucasfilm have been so successful in doing is diversifying that. There is no getting around how iconic Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Leia Organa, etc. are.
Yeah.
But
look at Mando. They brought Luke into Mando.
But people also love The Mandalorian.
Correct.
People know. Again, like your Uncle Dave, who saw Star Wars in 1977 and has... God, that meme makes me feel so many emotions, man. I get so mad.
Don't distract him.
It's funny.
Don't distract him.
It's a very funny meme.
He's gonna do it.
Full Pepe Sylvia. You're so right. But like again, like your uncle saw Star Wars in 1977 knows what a Mandalorian is. You know, there are little kids. There are 3-year-olds trick-or-treating as Ahsoka Tano. Like, with the white lightsabers and the gray outfit from the TV show. Like there's a ground being broken where you can market beyond Darth Vader, X-Wings, and TIE fighters.
Yes. Of course. Yes.
And it's striking that balance of old and new and familiar and brand new and understanding like thematically keeping it fresh while tonally keeping it familiar. They have done a really good job of expanding that horizon.
Yes.
In a really profound way. And I think that leaves them, again, with a film landscape that is horrifying to look at, on an interesting footing and ballpark to play in. So I do agree with you a lot. I think it's interesting that there's a little bit more than just the Skywalker family.
Oh yes, yes.
And I want to see how they how they stick that landing.
Yeah,
you know, like, and that's really fascinating on its own.
But and then that's what I mean. And they can branch off, but I think this is the family tree that roots us all. You know, this is the one, right?
Yeah.
Like they need to heal the myth. I know that's what MC Claire says all the time, and that's how I feel, because people are even confused about what they saw in the Rise of Skywalker. Like for my dad, who can tell me what the prequels are about. This, the original trilogy he knows by heart. But when I have to remind him that the son of Han Solo died and Rey is a Skywalker, it confuses him.
Dead, Dad.
I want to repeat, I watched The Rise of Skywalker numerous times. You can ask Lou, because I'm trying.
Yes.
I try to, and I've written things about it, good things about it, positive things about it, because I do not like to be at odds with canon. There's something in my mind that does not. I will make peace with a bad film. I will. Sure. There's just something in me that it's the power of Reylo, Jarod. Reylo brought Lou and I together.
Listen, it's what we talked about before, and before we get into the article stuff, like, I'm not a shipper. That's not something I've ever been invested in. And it's not even about the ship for me. It's the fact that it is a critical, analytical lens with which to view the sequel trilogy. It is the way to hone in on the core theme of Legacy, as these two inverted individuals have to process the same thing. Like, it is bigger than, I think Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver are equally hot people and should like, it's bigger than that.
Yes. Preach it, Jarod. And like, that's what I feel like we fans need to do more of this. Like, you appreciate the Rey Skywalker circle. Mm-hmm. And because of what you said, you gave a new awakening to Lou's appreciation of it. And you did the same for us with the prequels. There was something that you said, I'm sorry, I can't remember, but Lou and I always, or I do, I shouldn't speak for Lou anymore. I'm sorry, Lou. I really but I remember talking to you, and I was part of those people who were like, the prequels are kind of silly. But you said something and it clicked. And I got it. And I understood the prequels looking from that headspace. And I think that's why, as a fandom, we have to be a bridge with each other and talk to each other.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you. I know that I triggered some things. I didn't mean to pull the trigger.
You're good.
What's a little triggering between friends?
I did, because
I've unfortunately marketed myself as the guy who's funny to watch crash out. So I have to hold that.
I love it, because that's
you can crash out on our recordings and live streams anytime.
But that's why, thank you, because like I really appreciate that.
For what you do.
Like, this is what the fandom needs. We need to talk to each other. We need to sometimes bite each other's perspective to see if we can come to a place of understanding and healing. Because fandoms should be fun.
Some articles have come out since the interview article dropped, and there are a little bit of hints and what we call Easter eggs, maybe, to signify that it is possible we shall get some Ben Solo return in some shape or form. And one of these articles comes from the Playlist News. The Hunt for Ben Solo, Steven Soderbergh and Adam Driver's secret Star Wars movie, was greenlit before Disney pulled the plug. It goes on to talk about stuff and things that we already know, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Talks about Soderbergh and Driver and, the script and Lucasfilm loving it, and then Disney and Bob Iger putting the kibosh on it. I think one of the big things about this article is we get that this film was operating under the code name Quiet Leaves. And people can make a ton of assumptions about what that could possibly mean. We did it for the Rise of Skywalker code names and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. What I like to take away from it is, not, and here's my Tolkien nerd coming back out, not idly do the leaves of Lorien fall. These little trails of breadcrumbs are being left, What if Ben Solo's leaving a trail of breadcrumbs around the galaxy? Do people have to find him? I don't know. Right. Quiet leaves. I mean, you're hunting. You don't want, you're trying to be quiet and silent. I don't know. I think that's a very interesting code name for something that is not ever going to be made.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Yes.
I love production names because you never know if they mean anything or not.
Right.
Return of the Jedi was Blue Harvest.
Blue Harvest. Yes.
What the shit does that mean?
Yeah.
But I love that little stuff.
The
Quiet Leaves thing is like the hunt for that's clever.
Yeah.
The money that he was going to make from the galaxy. Blue Harvest. Yeah. But one thing that we must bring up is Rian Johnson being the Reylo king of us all. He did a interview for his premiere of his new movie Wake Up Dead Man, and he had some fun things to say. So I have that one video clip here.
Hunt for Ben Solo. I definitely have to ask you, what was your thoughts when you heard Soderbergh and Scott Burns might be?
Take my money. Disney, take it.
I mean, it's one of those that you're like, are you even kidding?
Where
Soderbergh show?
I only know what I read online. I didn't know anything about it. So I don't know what happened behind. Who knows with how things are developed? But man, I'll watch Driver, anything, man. But I'd love to see him play that character again. Yeah.
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Andrea. Everybody wants this.
Yeah. I didn't add that. That just was tagged on there. So. But what also happened in that premiere, we had a few Reylos give us some news about what is in the movie. There is a lovely Easter egg that Rian Johnson gave us Reylos in Wake Up Dead Man. And that is, there are some Reylo Funko Pops in a scene.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Rachel also said that there is a huge amount of blue butterflies in this movie as well. Of course, that's just our Bendemptionist speculation that blue butterflies are connected to Ben Solo, but it's just something to think about and, be hopeful about.
I am so excited to see. This is one of the dorkiest things I've ever say in my life. I'm excited to see which versions of the Rey and Kylo Ren Funko Pops they are. There's a part of me that hopes it's the ones I have, where it's yellow saber, Rey Skywalker, and the Ben.
Yep.
Funko. But it's also Rian making it, so it might be Last Jedi and
it
Rey.
Could be his. Yeah.
It's so dumb, but I'm
want
so excited.
Them touching hands. I want the Funkos facing each other and touching hands.
The Force Bond scene.
Yep, Force Bond. Yep, it's. They're dropping leaves. They're dropping us breadcrumbs. They would not have. None of this would have happened. They wouldn't have told us if it didn't matter and it was never going to happen.
I agree with that to a certain extent. Like I've said, I am a sadder but wiser girl. And I am just trying to temper my expectations this time and not lead to my absolute decline in health if a fictional character dies again or doesn't come back.
They're there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I was being melodramatic for a reason.
You're fine. I agree. No, I agree. No, I agree with you. Like I said, I came out of the theater not knowing what to make of that movie. I think one of the one of the best decisions I've ever made as a Star Wars fan was the fact that I saw The Rise of Skywalker twice opening night.
Mm.
You know, one time I was like, oh.
Yeah, can't process.
Okay. And seeing it the second time, I was like, okay, I know what's going to happen. You know, like, put on your thinking cap, Jarod. You know, like give this its day in court. You're angry the guy you like is dead, but like, what does it have to say? You know,
Yeah.
and it is a lot to process. It is upsetting. You know, it is incredibly upsetting. I think it's a testament to the characters that Abrams and Johnson and, you know, and Kasdan, you know, all created, that like it elicits a response like this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that this character, all of these characters are so rich that like people are like, no, what? Give it now. You know, like it's I think that is profound, you know, like I think there is room to come away from a story so deeply affected that like you are legitimately upset.
He was one of the richest characters to come out of the sequel trilogy.
I think arguably he is.
He is, yes. And
he is.
I think
I take this further and argue Star Wars, period.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I know that's not a hot
definitely
take
feel he deserves to have a story continued.
I agree. And
in movie form.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I do think, Jarod, as I've been reading The Legacy of Vader, I do think they're doing Dante there. He's been to hell and back. I mean, he's been in the Inferno 2 times now. One with Starkiller Base. No, 3. One with Starkiller Base. 2 with I can't remember. Snoke's throne room.
Right.
And then 3 with Exegol. And now with Mustafar. So they're putting that boy through hell 4 times. And in this comic book, I've been reading and there, I mean, the illustrations are looking like illustrations that are pulled from Dante's Paradisi and Purgatorio too. Like seeing the gate. I don't know if you've seen this one. Have you seen the gate one? Because I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't.
Is this like the Luke Force Heaven stuff?
Yes.
Okay. I will say I've not had a chance to read Legacy of Vader yet. I've been meaning to. I'm obviously getting spoiled on social media every time. So like I have no problem talking about spoilers, but I have seen the like Force, like the light side afterlife.
Yeah. Well, Lua and I, we might do another podcast extensively breaking this down, but that looks like Purgatory. The gate from out of Purgatory into like meeting Beatrice on the other side. The way that it's described in the text. And that is one of the reasons why I think, if you're right, if the script of Hunt had been solo, and I like this that you brought it up, if it was too morbid, especially for kids, where I feel like the Skywalker saga needs to be kept in the genre of a fairy tale. You know, there's room for other stories, but that needs to be kept the fairy tale. How do you make Dante's Inferno, the Divine Comedy, in a fairy tale genre? And that would be what they would have to do for the Hunt for Ben Solo. And that would be like, either you would have to grind it and make it gritty like it needs to be effective, and make it like where the meat and potato guys, like the guys that lean towards, and the girls and everyone who leans to the EU crowd and the Darth Revan stuff and the stuff that gets really into the dark aspects of the Force, they couldn't go there if they did Dante.
Yeah.
Because it would get, I don't know, but now my brain knows what it's going to do tonight as I try to fall asleep. Is it's going to be writing Dante as a fairy tale.
Oh my gosh!
You're going to be like, you will be. It's like how like a lot of Spider-Man comics like depict like when Peter gets the symbiote, like the symbiote will take Spider-Man out for a ride on the town. Like you will be like symbiote Spider-Man style, just like fully asleep, no recollection, just.
I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and she's gonna have like this 10-page essay written already, and it's just gonna be streams of consciousness, and I'm just gonna read it all and I'm gonna go, okay. Okay, all right.
That's what happens. I get these headcanons. She'll ask me like I'll have it's weird how we work. But it's like she'll say something and then go off and write an essay, and then I'm more of an underground Reylo hermit, where I find something and then come up and like write a huge, big, long novel and then give it to her to edit for me.
That's new merch, Reylo hermits.
Yeah.
That was in my notes. We are now a Reylo hermit. We are living in a Reylo hermit bubble, and that's why we needed Jarod.
It's like the Reylo exiles.
Yes.
You know? like you guys are like the Reylo like Obi-Wan and Yoda, and then I became like the Reylo Cal Kestis. So, like you guys were doing like the smart thing, like being in hiding, lying in wait for the right opportunity, and I'm just like. And I just have I have a lightsaber in one hand and a blaster in the other, and I'm just
crusading your way through the galaxy.
Yeah, and I'm just on Twitter begging people to read at lightsaber point, like.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. No, I'm all about this.
The imagery of yeah. Precisely. The imagery of the Legacy of Vader covers is so horrific, and I love it.
I do too.
You know, not to extend this any further, but just as a quick note from me, as someone who's not ready yet but knows what a lot of what's going on.
There we go.
I really like putting Ben in a situation where Vinay, as a proxy for like Star Wars as a concept. And the Force, obviously, but going, hey, you sure you want to be Darth Vader?
Yeah.
Hey, are you sure? You having fun yet?
Yeah.
Do you like this shit? Really? Strap him down and put the helmet on. Are you sure you're having fun still, kid? Like, I really, really love, like, while Rey is off with fighting fascism with the power of friendship, like having friends who love her. And Solo
that anyone could have
with an old queen getting like shoved into Vader's carcass.
Oh.
So horrific. And again, it's like Rey's like, oh, like legacy is not as important as family. And Kylo Ren is just experiencing like what I can only describe as the inverse of ego death.
That's exactly what it is.
Like that, I have no other words for than the inverse of ego death, where it's like, oh, we're gonna make all the bad parts worse. Actually, we're gonna crank it up to 11.
As it always is with Ben, it is self-inflicted.
Oh yeah.
He actually goes into Vader's healing chambers, straps it in, puts the, and then goes down for the answers. And I'm literally all hell breaks loose. Like, whoever illustrated this, I can't remember the artist's name, but he ate and drank something that only you could find in Wonderland, because
there's never been a Star Wars character who needs therapy more, man. It's just like, get this guy some therapy. Have him listen to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.
No,
like, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. We avoid so much of this. This is a man who needs to listen to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Can I speak on something with a lot of like the Hunt for Ben Solo hype that I haven't had a chance to speak on specifically?
Absolutely.
Sure, go for it. That's why you're here.
Reylos, hello.
Hi.
Guys, we cannot Snyder cut this shit.
Yeah.
New York, the Times Square ad, cool. The airplane, funny.
There's nothing to cut.
Don't do the Snyder cut stuff. Like,
I've already seen that too.
I'm so afraid of it. It's a bad look. It's bad form. It's deeply embarrassing to have to be in community with people who are harassing random social media interns. And don't get me wrong, I don't like Star Wars social media. Look at what happened with Zack Snyder's Justice League. Look at the behavior. Look at what his fan base is known for, and do the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
Tweeting hashtags, holding up a sign at Buena Vista. Cool. Don't be cruel to people on social media for no reason.
Yes.
Don't be harassing Lucasfilm and Disney employees.
Yeah.
Do not, again, I'm not here to like protect the $1 trillion company. Don't disrupt normal people's work day.
Yes.
To advocate for the movie about the character I would like to see, whom, in the event this gets broken up into 2 videos, I would like to remind those of you at home, I have permanently etched into my thigh. I promise I'm just as invested as you are.
Skin deep.
Don't. Right. Don't do the Snyder Cut shit, guys. We need to not do that because it's not gonna work. I think that's all we got.
I think we got it.
I do too. Anything else that anyone else wants to say?
Oh, my nose.
Perfect.
Incredible.
May the force be with you guys. Peace, love, and Reylo.
Jarod, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Jarod.
It's an honor as always.
Jarod. We love having you here. Thank you.
I love being here, guys. Thank you for having me.